Oh, jeez.
Every off-grid setup needs a way to keep meat good through the seasons. I built this Smokehouse to smoke, dry, and preserve food the simple way, with what I had and what I could haul across the lake in my canoe. The day I put this thing together, it was like 35 degrees. It was hot, and I was tired. So right here, you're capturing me taking a well-needed break. I'm having a cold beer with Elvers. Brutal when you try and dig. Every swing of a pick hits a rock, I swear. The pit's about 4x4, 3x3, by 2 feet deep. But even at that, it took quite an effort to dig because, like I said, it's like digging bedrock. So once it was dug, I filled it with stones that I hauled from the cold room dig. And I did that over summer. That's a huge dig and a huge project. And I want to, I'll get into that and actually do a video in the future. But those rocks make up a solid fire-safe base for the airtight stove. Basically keeps the heat where it belongs and safe. Found this old stove on the property and I rolled it about 35 yards to the smokehouse, and wouldn't you know it, the last couple of feet I smashed out the glass. So I had to take the time to cement it, closed, and it worked pretty good actually. It cemented well. Okay, so let's get to the primary build here. So basically I use white pine logs, as you can see there, to start the base. I dug shallow impressions for each pine log. I set them in there. I leveled them up with the level and got them ready for the floor. Then I actually found some old pieces of lumber laying around from the old deck that used to be on this cabin before I got it. And so it was still pretty solid, so I decided to use that for the floor after I had my studs all framed up and stuff. Every 2x4 for the frame and the building came across Rushy Lake in my canoe, towed closely behind by my 9.9 outboard and my pontoon boat. Basically, I had to make a couple trips, and it was quite a load on the old canoe. Basically, from there, a hammer, a screw gun, and a handful of screws and old nails laying around the property. That's all it took to fashion the walls and put this thing together. I also brought some old plywood from my other residence when I lived in Yarmouth. So I had some half-inch plywood. It was already painted, as you can see. So that worked rather well. It was rather convenient, although it was a hard trek bringing that stuff across the lake again because it was summer and the water's extremely low, and I had to portage it actually, pilot in the canoe, get to the beaver dam, on pilot, move the canoe over the beaver dam, and then bring it here to the cabin. But it all worked out well. Inside the smokehouse, I have a 6-inch pipe coming through the floor. That's actually a dryer vent that's hooked to the main pipe to the stove outside. And on top of that, I just cut a little piece of pine, round piece of pine, and yeah, that there goes back and forth over that hole to control the smoke along with the windows. The door is just made of 6mm plastic and 2x4 framing. Inside that door, there's also a magnetic insect screen net to keep the flies out. In the next picture, you'll see that the step is it's 2 pieces actually, and again, that was found laying around here, just sitting outside rotten. So it seemed pretty solid, so I pieced it together and thought it'd be a great idea to use it for the smokehouse, so I did. In order to keep the stove dry and out of the weather, I built a 6x10 extension in front of the smokehouse, as you can see. I just have an old tarp over it for now, but I'll probably eventually board that in, or I'll use something more solid. But for this winter, it's going to have to do because I just was way too busy this year. The chimney has about a 10-foot run, which is great for a cold smoke. I don't know about a hot smoke, how hot I'll be able to get the temperature inside, but my primary interest for food preservation is the cold smoking ability anyway. I just wanted to mention that. So I do have a number of pictures, so I'm trying to put something together as best I can for documentaries to share with my subs, because I really appreciate your support. But the SmokeHose is basically simple, practical, and ready to test. So next episode, and we'll be doing a number of them, in this series. We'll fire it up and we'll measure the temps inside to see how hot and cold we can maintain. Hopefully we'll get a deer soon, so we'll be able to test some venison, maybe do some jerky, do some stuff on that. So out here, basically, when it comes to food security, I'm learning, it's just me and the dog, and everything we do is built by hand. And we don't have a lot of amenities, so we got to use what we have out here. So basically, I thank you for joining me, and if you're interested in following me, please sub on my YouTube channel at Woodside Off Grid. And until next time, stay safe, stay free, and work towards living off grid.